Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has given his first address to the United Nations General Assembly in New York. He spruiked Australia's new climate targets and push for better economic cooperation across the globe, highlighting the importance of the partnerships in the Indo-Pacific region. He ended his speech by imploring fellow leaders to stand true to the UN's founding principles of peace, human rights and freedom, with particular regard to the Middle East.
Today I look to words that Australia helped write 80 years ago. Australia is calling for a ceasefire, for the immediate release of the hostages, for aid to flow to those in desperate need, and for the terrorists of Hamas to have no role in Gaza's future. And this week, Australia recognised the state of Palestine.
National Political Lead David Speers joins us now from New York. David, g'day. So what's your assessment of this speech, a key moment for the Prime Minister on the world stage?
Well, he came to say quite a few things there, Joe, and you heard a bit of it there as he summed up that speech, reiterating Australia's position on recognising Palestinian statehood and the need for the UN to step up in this moment of what's happening in Gaza, but more broadly, defending the role and the mission of the United Nations in creating the conditions for peace globally. This, of course, in stark contrast to what we heard from Donald Trump yesterday and really talking down the UN as he addressed the General Assembly, bagging everything from the escalators to the teleprompter to its broader role in the world. The Prime Minister also at odds with Donald Trump when it came to the message on climate change. This was also a key theme from Anthony Albanese in this speech here tonight, talking up what Australia's doing, the targets that it's set, the need to adopt renewable energy, not just for environmental but economic reasons as well. He revived Australia's bid for a temporary seat on the United Nations Security Council in 2029-30. This push dates back some years to the former government, but Anthony Albanese made it clear at the podium there tonight that this is something he wants to pursue as Prime Minister as well. So, look, on a number of issues, he's at odds with Donald Trump, the role of the UN, climate change, Palestinian recognition, but he also used this speech to carefully navigate support for the United States in what it's done over many years in creating the conditions for global security and the ongoing role that it needs to play in the world.
And looking more broadly at what's happened there in New York over the past week, in the past 24 hours, what did you make of the China commitment on climate change? Interestingly, taking this opportunity to very clearly step into the leadership void after Donald Trump walked away.
You cannot miss the timing here, Joe, and you're right to link them because, on the day after Donald Trump says that climate change is a con job, a great green scam and so on, and really talks down renewables, Xi Jinping, not here in New York, but beaming in via video link, makes China's first ever pledge to lower emissions. Now, it's perhaps not what everyone would like, but a target to lower emissions by between 7 and 10% from their peak level, although exactly what the peak level, when that's judged, is a little unclear, but to lower them by 7 to 10% by 2035, so over the next decade. Now, that's the first time China's made such a commitment. It's been welcomed. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said it's welcome. He'd like them to go further. But yes, you're right. You can't isolate this from what's just happened with the message from the US. China is stepping into that void, or trying to. As the US retreats from action on climate change, China is stepping up.
Another key moment over the last week of this really important gauge of international relations was the fundamental shift in Donald Trump's language on Russia's relentless attacks and invasion of Ukraine. What's the mood there now in the international community about how this could change what's happening on the ground in Ukraine?
Look, this is the thing. It's very much welcome. While it was, a bellicose address from Donald Trump here yesterday, he then sits down with Volodymyr Zelensky, and his tone is quite engaging and encouraging to not just Ukraine, but the Europeans that are supporting Ukraine as well. Quite a different message. Now, what it actually means, sure, it's been welcomed by Zelensky, by Ukraine, by the NATO members as well. This idea that Ukraine can regain lost territory to Russia, and even his comments about, NATO members should be able to shoot down Russian drones and planes if they enter their airspace. What does it mean in practice, though, is a lot less clear. As often is the way with Donald Trump, there's uncertainty about what he says one day, what he might say the next. Not so long ago, he was literally rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin in Alaska. And then yesterday, a very different message as he very much gave encouragement to Ukraine.
And as you mentioned, Anthony Albanese was notably pretty generous with his remarks on the US in his speech, possibly looking ahead to his meeting with Donald Trump next month. How will he be preparing for that now to avoid it being the disaster that it has been for some other leaders?
Look, he'll want to work out how to navigate the difficult spots. And look, one of them is defence spending, we know that. And that's a direct issue that the US has raised with Australia. Then you've got those other issues where we're in that group of US allies with the UK and Canada and so on Palestinian recognition, action on climate change, where we disagree. But I don't think they're going to turn into big issues. But he'll need to arm himself with a way to approach that defence spending. And you can sort of hear him rehearsing that already, working out the lines about how much is being spent, how much they're increasing. But I think beyond that, really telling Donald Trump, who may or may not know the details, what the US gets out of this alliance. Pine Gap, for example, what it's going to get out of AUKUS, the access to the Henderson and Sterling facilities in the West, the billions that Australia is pouring into the US industrial base. So it's about telling that directly to Donald Trump, but more broadly, I guess, getting that personal relationship between the two leaders off to a good start.